if you can identify trends in the market, and I'm not talking like short-term trends or day trading, whatever. I'm talking about like just you see a movement going on. This is nothing new, but something I've really thought of. Like if you can attack something early and see a movement happening, you're going to do very, very well in the market.
Warren Buffett knows what he's talking about.
Don't you mean Warren Buffett?
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Richuation Room. Another reoccurring guest for today's episode. This is an exciting one. So we have No Course Finance back on the podcast. Oh wait, scratch that. We got a rebrand. So we have Trevor Hassel here. Yeah, that was going to be the first thing we talked about. So previously, No Course Finance rebranded
Right.
Trevor Hassel. So I don't know if we're
right.
technically a reoccurring guest now that we have this brand new guy.
Oh, I'd say we are.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me, Rich. My schedule has been crazy, as we talked about, and I'm so happy we have figured out a small window of time and a crazy time to be able to talk, man. Thanks for having me, man. Look forward to it.
Yeah, it should be fun. So let's jump right into it. Why the rebrand? Maybe talk a little bit for those that didn't see the first episode and didn't know you previously, why you were No Course Finance, and then the rebrand after that.
I had this genius idea, Rich, back in January to start a YouTube channel, which I never thought I would do. But I originally, I saw a lot of people just constantly pushing courses down people's throats. And I was just kind of like, what if I just kind of talked about, things that I talk about for free, and I just provide as much value as I can, without trying to like shove a course down their throat and just kind of share my experience. It wasn't bashing courses whatsoever. And that was the number one reason I changed it, is because courses have changed my life. I've been a part of a lot of stock market courses, mindset, self-help courses, real estate courses. They've changed my life for the better, right? I've invested a lot of money in those things. And I said, what if I just took all that knowledge, applied it to my life, and then shared my journey? Not trying to, come across as a know-it-all, but just share my journey on everything and how it works, and, how it's affected me. And so in turn, I created a No Course Finance channel to say, hey, this is what I've learned. Maybe you'll get something out of it. As time went on, people thought I was against courses and anybody, selling courses. And I said, you know what? That's not my name. That's not what I want to do. So I rebranded it, and I'm very, very happy with it. I think it's just a good move. I don't want to give off any, bad vibes or false impressions, because that's what I was doing, So now when you see Trevor Hassel, it's just me. And then, Trevor Hassel will soon be a bigger brand. It doesn't have to be big, but like, it's not just a finance channel. I'll be able to share, different aspects of what I'm doing other than finance related, creating content on YouTube and kind of brand out that way, as opposed to just specifically talking about finance and investing the whole time.
Yeah, it makes total sense. What was the reaction? Because I know you switched over you had a fair amount of followers at that point. So it's not like you were a nobody when you switched over. What was the reaction from the people that were following you?
Well, depending on when everybody sees this video, fair amount of followers for me is 1,000, 1,000 subscribers. So, not a big, subscriber base there by any means, but I think I was right around about maybe 1,300 is when I decided to rebrand that. The reaction from people, there was very, very little, because most of the people that followed me, they just were like, okay, cool, no problem, and it wasn't really that big of a deal, to be honest with you. I mean, I changed my overall YouTube banner and my name and, updated a little bit of things, and very, very few people knew. And since then, I would say most people know me as Trevor Hassel, because, a lot of my followers have come recently with the consistency of my videos. So I don't think they have any idea about what I was doing, but just the false impressions was the whole reason of the change,
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think it's a smart move, especially when you're building it out from everything you're doing is you, right? I mean, you'll do the occasional collaboration and that kind of stuff, but it's mainly you. And then if this is just kind of my side conversation, but if then later down the road you want to branch out and kind of do something with a different type of brand that's underneath that umbrella within your personal channel, that kind of gives you the opportunity to do that, rather than kind of go the other way around where you're branding yourself and then now you have to make your name known. You know what I mean?
You're 100% right. You're 100% right. And I talked to a lot of people about it before I kind of rebranded this. And, they're like, just most people on YouTube now are using their name, and if you think about it, and all the people I watch, Ryan Scribner, Graham Stephan, Richard Fain, JJ Buckner, all these guys, they're doing their own name. And I was so fearful of that for a while, and as you start posting on YouTube a little more, as you start getting familiar with just the way YouTube works, you realize, okay, just use your name, it's all good, and you'll be fine. So I think originally I didn't want to use my real name for some weird reason. I guess it was just like putting videos out on the internet for how many people to see. It wasn't the best feeling in the world. So I was a little hesitant, but we're about a year into it now, and I'm very, very happy I'm still doing it. So
yeah, I think it's hard when you first start, and I'm in a similar situation, but it's hard when you first start to feel like you are legitimizing yourself right off the bat. It's like,
yes.
well, let me set out a little bit of a groundwork before I kind of do that. But this is coming from a guy
Absolutely.
who his channel is not named after himself, but it's also a podcast, so a little bit of a different scenario.
Yeah, I would say it's a little bit different. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Dude, let's talk about the channel itself. So we've seen some pretty good growth, at least from the last time we talked in July.
Yeah.
Talk about how that journey's gone and what some of those catalysts were to make that happen.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. I mean, it's people like you that are watching my videos. I see you on all those videos, and hopefully you're getting some value out of it. And I'd say over the past couple months, it's been, I don't know, maybe 5-6 months since we talked, somewhere around there. Talked on a podcast format. And I think just overall, Rich, it's been consistency. For me. Again, I don't do a good job of kind of hopping on my YouTube channel talking about the current events and more of the news and the hype kind of stuff. I'm more focused around building solid understanding of getting people started in investing. I'd like to say, there's a lot of channels that are really, really good at the breaking news and the hot EV stock that's coming out and all that kind of stuff. And for me, I've really been focused on, how to look at a dividend stock, or how I value a growth stock, how I look into growth stocks, or why I feel like this growth stock is good, like just kind of stuff that I really want to talk about. I'm sure I could have grown much faster, focusing on hot new things, but it wasn't going to be authentic to me, to start out. And I think mainly what's grown the channel is just being consistent on what I talk about, and I try to put out, I guess as quality videos as I can, with the amount of time that I have to actually, put out YouTube. So, just trying to stay consistent, and that's hard enough. But I was on the JJ Buckner channel in August, and that was a big just check mark off my bucket list. I didn't know I had it on my bucket list, but it happened, man. And I was blown away. And I also got some subscribers from that, and a couple other shout outs from other YouTube channels that have obviously helped the growth. Yeah. And by growth of the channel, I mean, an extra 2,000 subscribers, which, hopefully in 3 years will be nothing, but, gotta appreciate the little things when you start out. Cause, starting out on YouTube, and especially not getting paid for a majority of it, it's a big mental block. One of the toughest things I've done is being consistent, thinking of content ideas, researching, having a personal life, doing all these things, and trying to upload videos and be consistent. It's pretty crazy, but I think those are some of the things that have kind of, contributed to the growth of the channel overall.
It's like the number one thing you hear is just be consistent, right? So many people kind of fizzle off, and that consistency, even week after week or day after day, when you're not seeing the results, maybe you're hoping to see, you put in all that work and then you don't get that immediate feedback. It can be tough.
And it's everything in life, man. It's not just YouTube, it's New Year's. Not New Year's, but a couple weeks after New Year's, I had a goal. I was like, okay, I should probably start a YouTube channel and talk about it. And I remember listening to a JJ Buckner video. He's like, just don't overthink it. Just do it. See if you like it. And I told myself I'm going to give myself a year. I'm going to put out as much content as I can, be consistent, figure it out. And after a year, I'll analyze it. Is this something I want to continue to do? Am I getting enjoyment out of it? Is it worth my time? And we're coming up on that year here in a couple months, and I'm going to continue to do it, man. I'm having a blast. But people quit too early on YouTube if it's just not sustainable. They're not passionate about it. They're doing it just for the money, or whatever. Just got to stick with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's dive into a little bit more YouTube stuff. So last time I had you on the channel, we talked a lot about YouTube as a tool to learn. So I think we talked about, is it YouTube University or University of YouTube or something like that?
Yeah.
Long story short on that end is, everything that you are trying to learn is probably uploaded on a video for free on YouTube. I know you talked a lot about last time how really everything you learned in terms of finance was done through YouTube and the internet.
Yes.
On kind of a different side of it, which is something we were talking about offline, is almost utilizing YouTube as a creator and kind of building up a resume in terms of putting out videos and showing your fluency kind of in that world.
Mhm.
I don't know if you're familiar with the term. I think they call it what is it? Social economy or passion economy. I don't know if you've
Mhm.
heard those terms
Mhm.
before, but
Mhm.
for those that aren't familiar, basically they're talking about how with all these different things popping up, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Etsy, and you can sell your products on Etsy,
Mhm.
eBay, whatever the case is, it's easier than ever for people to get paid for doing what they love to do. It doesn't mean everybody out there is going to have that opportunity, but it's definitely opening more and more doors. For you, now that you've kind of been in this game for a year, you've built up that resume of consistent, high quality videos. What have you kind of seen in terms of opportunities that they may have led to that you weren't expecting? And then what do you see potentially going forward in terms of using that as leverage for new opportunities?
Those are great questions, Rich. And the opportunities I have received from YouTube are tremendous. And I think people would be very, very surprised with the kind of opportunities that are presented to you um, throughout YouTube. But honestly, just life in general that passed you by that you don't see, and a small channel like me, currently I have about 3,000 subscribers, okay, and 3,300, somewhere around there, not much, but the opportunities that I've already gotten have far exceeded what kind of subscriber base I have. I don't even really look at how many subscribers I have, because I know as a person overall, I'm growing tremendously, as opposed to if I didn't start out this YouTube channel. And that's something people don't think about. I've gotten better at public speaking. Well, I'd like to say, I'm a little less nervous, getting in front of the camera or all that stuff. I'm 100 and something videos in now. It's just like, it was so out of my comfort zone that I've grown in that way, where it's like, okay, now I'm more comfortable in every aspect of my life because I'm always on camera. Not always, but I'm getting better at it. And the other thing I didn't think about YouTube, man, was just the people that you meet. Like we talked about, we probably wouldn't have met, and realized we had this passion for finance and talking to these people that are trying to get better overall and better themselves financially, spiritually, any form, right? um, it all existed because we decided to take a chance on YouTube. Our goals might have been different, but we connected through that. And a lot of people, we have a group right now on YouTube where there's about 10 or 15 of us in the finance community that are, smaller. We have, 1,000 subscribers. One of our guys just hit, and we had one of our guys just hit 100,000 subscribers. But it's a community of about 10 to 15 of us that we're on a Discord chat, and we meet every single week and we talk about what's working, what we're seeing in the market, how we're doing, just overall, and they're really close friends to me now. And it's like, I have 3,000 subscribers, dude. Nobody
Yeah.
really knows who my channel is. Nobody knows my name, but they're making me better because they have all these subscribers and they're making a living. They're quitting their jobs. They're doing what they love. They're passionate about what they're doing. And, for me, I'm not quite there yet, but they're just making me that much better. And I think that's an opportunity that I always try to put myself in a position where I'm just not the best in the room, and, they just make me better overall. And that's also, with my music, with my band, I'm far from the best in the band, and they make me better. In every way, I surround myself with people that are better than me, and seek out opportunities that kind of present itself. And I think for YouTube, man, it's just people don't think about that. They just think, oh, you can make a lot of money, and you sure can, and it's definitely a possibility. But I'm realizing that it's the scalability and the potential and the amount of work that you can put in to really monetize yourself online is crazy. What was the second part of your question? No, I missed the second part. I know you said something second.
Yeah, I was just saying, do you kind of think about using the channel that you're building now as leverage or, just kind of proving your reputation going forward? If you have any plans kind of to show whether it's future employers or just other people you're trying to partner with,
Mm-hmm.
if you just come out of nowhere and you're a nobody that doesn't have,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, the college degree is kind of like the pedigree nowadays to show that
Yes.
you're good enough.
Yes.
I kind of see it as building a project, whether it's a
Mm-hmm.
YouTube channel or a business or whatever the case
Mm-hmm.
is. Um, to me, if I was a boss, would almost be more impressive than just kind of the cookie cutter. He got the
Yes.
MBA from this school. So I don't know if I worded
Yes.
that question appropriately, but that was kind of the path I was going down.
Nope. I 100% get you. And that actually occurred for me. I talked a little bit about it, and I now am in the position where I am working with one of my all-time favorite YouTubers and a course that I took about 3 years ago, Jeremy from Financial Education. He released that he was hiring for, a position with his team. And I was very familiar with his brand, very familiar with how he invests. I believe in his philosophies, I believe in his strategy. It's in line with what's worked for me. And, he was hiring, he was looking for, people to work with him, help clients in his group, kind of help run, different aspects of the business that he's doing. And I got the job in August, and I've been able to quit my job that I was originally working, and, work with him. And it's been one of those things where, one of the things they told me was, you know, a big thing that separated you from the other candidates was your YouTube channel. And it blew my mind, man. It blew my mind. They didn't go, we hired you because you're in school. We hired you because, you were captain of the football team or one of the captains, or we hired you because, you have this amount of money in the market. We hired you because we could see your personality. We can see who you are. We can see how you communicate. We can see your understanding of the market. We can see that you can help our brand, essentially, right? There was no degree behind that. It was just, okay, you have experience. And that's what we're looking for. And I currently, man, I have a lot of friends that are graduating right now. They graduated in May. They're going to be graduating in December, May, and they're struggling to find a job right now. A lot of companies are not hiring. And the reason is because they want experience. But a lot of my friends spent so much time in school getting the degree and the knowledge to get out and get in the workforce. But since they don't have experience, they're not getting hired. They're not getting a job. The whole degree thing, that's a whole nother podcast, for me. I'm currently in school. I believe there's reasons that you can go to school, and I don't believe it's a complete waste of time. I'm not a fan of taking out debt. I'm not a fan of, going to the private university right out of high school. If you don't know what you're doing, we can go down a doctor and lawyer, route, of course. But I'm saying for somebody like me that just was like, I don't really know what I want to do, so I'm going to go the path of school. I just be very, very hesitant on it. And it's just because YouTube was a deciding factor for me to get my dream gig that I didn't even know I had, even know I wanted to do that. I got my real estate license. I was going to be a real estate agent this month. And now I'm loving doing what I'm doing with Jeremy. And I'm loving getting more knowledge and how everything works and how to build a startup like that. And it's all because I decided to make videos online. It just, it's not all of it, but it just blows my mind. So it wasn't my intention starting, but now that I've kind of seen the opportunities that have presented itself since starting out, and, also being able to talk about other things and just have a voice in general, have a creative outlet, huge.
Yeah, I don't want to make assumptions on what your actual job description is, but I would imagine if you're coaching, at least to some degree, them being able to see you talk on camera and be able to see how you'll potentially interact with clients was probably bigger than anything, because they can hold interviews with other candidates, but most people are going to be able to prepare pretty well for an interview, at least to a degree, if they're somewhat hireable. But
Right.
for them to be able to see you explain things in different ways, and it didn't even matter probably how many subscribers you had. They probably were just looking for the ability for you to converse things in a way that, different clients will be able to take easily.
100%. Just break it down. I'm not the best in communication, obviously, but to take some form of knowledge and have some sort of experience, and me being a younger guy and maybe helping out the younger guys getting started the right way. I rescue a lot of clients that come from the day trading, the swing trading, short-term mindset,
Yeah.
That's a big bulk of my job, is just to get them on the right path. You want to be an active investor, you want to be a long-term investor, great. Let's get you the right strategy. Let's get you the right program, and let's, get you on the right track to be successful in it, in the long-term mindset. So I just feel so much more fulfilled doing that than I ever would have thought of. I get to build my brand here and enjoy doing that, as well as, be a part of another one that has literally influenced me and changed my life. So it's just, it's crazy time, man, because the job that I had was a server, and I was doing that for about 4 or 5 years while going to school. And we shut down, but we're not closed down yet. But they furloughed everybody because California out here, you're not working. If you're a server, there's a lot of restrictions. You're not getting the hours. Your income's drastically hit. So for me to pivot and do that from YouTube, huge.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm probably repeating myself for the 500th time, but the sentiment is changing. I mean, a lot of the more modernized CEOs have said that the college degree might make your name stand out a little bit, but ultimately they don't really care as much anymore. And I think personally, if you can build the personal brand now, doesn't even have to be a personal brand, but you build a brand that's showing some level of success kind of on your side gig, and you want to go apply, the guy who has proof of concept and has proved his work ethic, to me, means a lot more than the guy that can study, take a test, and then brain dump everything they learned. But that's just my 2 cents.
Absolutely, Rich. I don't even think it has to be show that you're successful. I think it just, you've shown that you started something, you're committed to it, you're following through on it, whether you have, a ton of subscribers, a little bit of subscribers, they can get a sense of who you are, how you communicate, and that you're putting yourself out online. That's hard enough, man, to get the hate comments, to get the uncertainty, if you're accurate on everything you're saying. For me, I didn't know how to upload YouTube video. I bought a camera. I didn't know you have to have an SD card in there. I was beginner as beginner can be, and I'm still there, obviously, but you got to have something that's extra than a degree. And I'm not bashing the degree. We can go into college on a whole nother video, I'm sure. But if you're going to go, I can't stress enough, try to work a part-time job while you're there, show some sort of commitment. If you're trying to build a resume for a job, a dream job that you have, I was with this company for 3 to 4 years, and this is what I did. And, I was there for a long time. It shows loyalty to, actually they wanted you around and you have experience in the workforce. Because my biggest thing real quick is you learn in school one way, and then you learn the real way in real life.
Yeah.
There's 2 different forms of learning, right? I suck in the classroom. I can't, if I was to sit through an econ class right now, I would hate it. But I can watch all the finance videos on YouTube, all the econ videos on YouTube, because I enjoy it more. And then also I can talk about it and learn the real world experience and learn lessons by applying what I'm learning. That's just how I learn. And I think we need to start talking about that more, real world experience versus getting a degree and going through a structured way. I don't know. It's just my opinion. I have a hard time backing the school system currently.
I was having the same exact thought. Like, to me, it makes way more sense if you are, I want to go be an accountant, or it doesn't really matter what the job is. It's crazy how many of those degrees do not require you to go shadow the job that you want to do for X number of time. Obviously doctors do, like, they're in residence, that kind of stuff. But I think even if you get a pre-med degree, I don't think there's anything, it depends on the program, but that requires you to go shadow a doctor to even see if that's what you want to do, which is such a ridiculous amount of money and time to spend on something you don't even know if you want to actually follow through with. It's kind of a crazy system, but the system's set up in a way that has economic advantage for a lot of the universities. So I'm sure there's some strategic benefit on their end for that.
I would have to agree with that. I think it's a big reason.
Yeah. Well,
Huge.
Enough college bashing. We did that on the last one too. I think we just like charge each other up to go on rants.
Dude, I know. I'm sorry. I'm going through college right now, and it's a big obstacle in my journey of everything that I want to do.
Yeah.
And I'm so close to finishing that I just feel like I just need to pull through. It's all online, so it's like, okay, realistically, I can get this done. But if it was all in person, dude, I'd be out by now. I create other opportunities that I'm like, I can't do it. But that's enough college bashing.
Yeah, and I have my bachelor's degree, so I'm being a hypocrite. But anyway, let's get into some more of your kind of specific investing. I just want to talk about if anything has drastically changed between now and July in terms of your strategy and your portfolio. And for those that haven't heard it before, just kind of give us a quick rundown of what you look to do in that end.
Yeah, so since July, my strategy has not changed. It has always been long-term investing and, just continuously to find undervalued companies. And I'm more of a growth investor. I've kind of shifted that way in the past, I guess, couple of years of me learning how to do this. I've been kind of more towards the growth companies just because of my age. I realize I'm younger. I have more time to take on a little bit more risk. By more risk, I talk about calculated risk. I'm not doing anything super crazy, but I have kind of, I guess the biggest change that I've made is I'm kind of looking into a little bit more speculative growth investments than I probably traditionally was. I was going with the blue chip stocks, the first couple years starting out. And lately I've been starting to I've looked into a lot of, speculative growth stocks, but I'm starting to get into it a little bit more. Spec stocks like Virgin Galactic, I talk about a lot, super, super speculative, but I think the potential reward is huge. I just think I'm taking a little bit more risk than I would have originally thought. As far as big portfolio changes, nothing too crazy. Tesla has had a crazy run, and I have, for people that don't know my channel, I've been an early investor in Tesla, early meaning 2017, 2018. And I dollar cost average in 2019, when we fell down to $150, $200. My cost basis was somewhere around 220, somewhere around there. And at the time, I just went probably against my own strategy, and I bought a lot. It was a big position in my portfolio, and it's been continuously growing, and it's been great. I did the same thing with Apple, and they both had 4-to-1 stock splits, 5-to-1 stock splits, and now my portfolio is ungodly unbalanced, and it's a shame to look at in a way. Like, yeah, I'm up a lot, it's fantastic, but at the same time, my other companies are like, just so
Slivers,
small. Yeah, and it's like, all right, that's not what I want to teach. That's not what I want to do. And at the same time, I don't want to sell out of those investments because I'm a firm believer that they haven't hit their peak potential. So I'm holding on to them, but I'm very, very cash heavy right now. Very, very cash heavy, not necessarily bearish on the market, but I'm in a position where March has been crazy. I took a big advantage of some companies in March, sold out of a couple lately, and want to increase my cash because I realistically don't feel like I need a ton of companies right now. I'm kind of banking on potentially, if we have another shutdown or whatever, maybe another correction in the market in the near future. But other than me being extremely unbalanced and not proud of that, everything else has remained the same.
Well, there is 2 stocks I want to get into specifically, just because I know you make a lot of videos about them. You mentioned Virgin Galactic. I'm not going to lie, this is one that I have a hard time kind of understanding and putting my money in. It gets a lot of hype, like you talked about.
Yes.
You've already mentioned it's very speculative, so we've gotten that out the door. Talk to me, let's assume everything goes right. Talk to me about what the bullish case is on this company, because to me, just from the outsider, if it is recreational space travel, essentially, how much money can they really make doing that? I have a hard time seeing them being extremely profitable. I don't know, dude. It's like a lot of money up front to be able to make this happen. They're gonna have to charge ungodly amounts for people to go on it.
And they do. And
so maybe just give me your quick thesis on this.
My quick thesis would be the TAM, right? The total addressable market potential with Virgin Galactic is there. How big is it? It varies. When I initially started looking into it, I'm like, who's going to pay $250,000 to go up to space and be one of the first ones? Kind of risky, right? I mean, I don't know, so the reason I'm invested in the stock, but keep in mind, this is a fraction of the portfolio. So if it goes to zero, it's like, yeah, I was wrong. Okay. But the reason I'm in it is because I'm a big fan of company or, ETFs like ARK Invest, with Kathy Wood. And they always talk about innovative, disruptive technology. And I'm a very big fan of those kinds of companies. And I think that's what, SPCE is doing, is I think they are targeting a market that has not been targeted yet. They're a public company that's attacking this. And I believe in the next 5-10 years, they could potentially get to that level of commercializing space travel and building that hypersonic point-to-point travel market and changing the way we travel, changing the way we see space, changing the availability of people that are able to do it. Now, the exact numbers on all that, we have no idea currently. I don't know off the top of my head the exact numbers in the total addressable market. This is a company pre-revenue that is just we just don't know, right? Yeah. And that's what makes it extremely speculative. And I initially bought Virgin Galactic as a very small position in my retirement account, actually, which it's not like I'm hoping to retire off Virgin Galactic, but that's how long term it is I don't even look at my retirement accounts because it's 40 plus years or whatever. But I put some positions in there because what the company does in the next couple of years is, not next couple of years, but in the short term, not gonna be a huge deal to me, because I'm not expecting anything crazy. Their financials are obviously nothing to really look at. So it's really speculation on hypersonic point-to-point travel and commercializing space travel. If they can tap into those markets on any level, I think there's a lot of potential for them to continue to change the way we travel. And I think the last thing I'll say in my quick, thesis here is just the management team I think is excellent. I really do. You got George Whiteside that, has had a proven track record history of managing, successful companies. You have Michael Colgazier, same kind of thing. You also have, Sir Richard Branson, the founder. I think there's a management team that is proven in other aspects that I think is good to lead this company. I don't think it's in the direction, in the hands of somebody that's just starting out and kind of doing this kind of stuff. So I'm confident they'll make the right decisions. Will they? That's I guess the speculation of the investment. Because again, you're investing in a company pre-revenue, you're investing in a company that, I'm sure you've seen is a lot of talk currently. And a lot of people have a lot of opinions on that. Is they said they were going to do this and they didn't do this. And, I feel very bad for them. They got shut down again. They finally came out and said test flights, November 19th to 23rd. The next day, man, SpaceX launches a flight and then we get shut down. And, we can go back and forth between, okay, how much of that was COVID? How much of that was, they just weren't prepared. I'm going to say that it was, in fact, they had to shut down. They had no option. And if I was a CEO, man, I'd be just like, this is just a terrible timing. Shrug it off and you got to move on. But it does leave, some doubt in some investors. And again, it's going to fluctuate. The price, it's going to be volatile for a while. And I'm comfortable with where I'm at on that, on the position, but hopefully it's one of those stocks that has a lot of opportunity in the future.
Yeah. So what are they? I know they were trying to accomplish basically recreational space flight. So you take off, you experience time and space, and you land back where you started. Are they also then have a vision for basically disrupting airline travel? Is that another thing on the docket?
I believe so. So hypersonic point-to-point travel will make a trip to New York to Italy in a fraction of the time.
Yeah.
Right. So it's basically they're just speeding up, the airline industry and travel, which is obviously again hurt right now too. The timeline in that, don't know exactly. Just know that that's what, George Whiteside's a former CEO is working on. So, he was involved in NASA for some years as well. And I just think, it just goes back to potential, man. It really does. I haven't spent an ungodly amount of time researching because there's not really much to really go over right now. It's just like, hey, here's what we're going to do. If you believe in us, you believe in us. If you don't, you don't. And that's just kind of where I'm at. But those two main aspects of the business really intrigue me. And I think it's just a recipe for disruption and innovation, which is basically why I'm involved in it.
Yeah, they're at least setting the groundwork, right? You don't see American Airlines and Delta and Boeing. I mean, I think Boeing's involved with them, but you don't see the major airlines that are, trying to basically change airline travel too extremely, other than maybe updating the airliners that they are using. And I'm sure there's other efficiency things within the system itself.
Well, man, those guys are just trying to survive right now.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm sure space travel is the last thing on their minds. They're just trying to stay afloat, and I don't think that's their main focus right now. Who knows where this will all go, but they're in a tricky spot, as a lot of companies are. So
yeah, and you mentioned it previously, but for those that kind of didn't catch the news, basically Virgin Galactic came out saying that they were going to initiate test flights, I believe it was, right? Starting the 19th at some point through the 23rd, probably based off of weather and other factors. And then shortly thereafter came back saying that they were unable to do so. And I think they more or less said due to COVID, right? Different COVID restrictions.
Yeah, in New Mexico, I think there was some restrictions there. And
and then the people on the other side are seeing SpaceX launch four people into space to the International Space Station the next day or something like that. So
it was a day before Virgin Galactic announced that they weren't doing it, and we're just like, you know what I mean?
I have a feeling that made Elon pretty happy.
I was just like, dude, I couldn't believe it, because a lot of the arguments are, what about SpaceX? What about Blue Origin? And for by the way, I'm not a space guy. I don't know much about space. I just kind of like companies that have opportunity. And, from my understanding, they're not really attacking these aspects as their main aspects of their business that they're going after. They're not public companies as of right now either. But I totally thought the same thing. I was like, man, this guy gets his way yet again, this kind of stuff. Is you got a guy that's, got something going on with the virus, and he's able to do all this stuff, and we can't get the test flights. But again, this isn't Virgin Galactic's fault. I want to go on record saying that. I firmly believe it was restrictions. What else can you do? right? You just, unfortunately, you leave a lot of investors kind of hanging again, and that's just the last thing you want to do if you're Virgin Galactic. But I do believe we'll get around to it, man, in the future. It's just, it setbacks a lot of the other things I had planned. So
Yeah.
that's the problem. It's not so much that I'm upset about we didn't do this. It's like, okay, well, is Richard Branson going to space in Q1 2021? Because if not, okay, all of a sudden that's going to pull, push back my, thesis on why I'm purchasing these stocks here today. Are we going to keep diluting the shares? Why am I going to hold the stock? If it's a long-term hold, I'll just wait. There's so many things that go on, and that's why it's a very, very small position.
Yeah, for some reason I don't think recreational space travel is deemed essential. But then again, they've made more ridiculous claims, so
Yes, they have.
I'm sure they could make their argument one way or another.
Oh yeah.
All right, well, let's talk Tesla. I feel like we kind of have to. It's just part of the routine. So
That's routine.
We're both big fans of Tesla. Major
Yes.
portions of our portfolio. A few things have happened since last time we talked. I think last time we talked, Q2 numbers came out, if I remember right.
Yes, I think they did. I think it's in later July they came out with Q3, and then we just got Q4. So
I don't remember exactly. There was some bullish news that came out when we talked that definitely pumped the stock up. Since then, even more has happened. So we've had Battery Day, which the retail investors, or I guess the stock price itself, probably didn't respond in accordance with the actual information that they were putting out there, in my opinion. And then just recently announced S&P inclusion as well going forward. So do you kind of see either of those events? Obviously, Tesla's had a nice little run up this week, but what do you see with that in terms of the S&P inclusion? How does that maybe affect your bullish case at all?
I'm just happy for them in general. I'm happy for all the shareholders. I'm happy for myself. I'm happy for Tesla. I mean, this is a company that, again, I got involved in a while back, and I didn't buy it at the IPO or anything, but like I've been a long-term holder for this company, and it's finally good to see the respect I think Tesla deserves, to be honest with you. If I had to put it in one word, like they finally have proven what they've been trying to do. And I think that's so important, because I was buying the stock, it was just negativity after negativity. It was, the company's not profitable. It was the CEO is he fit to run a company like this? Just constant, just bombarding of all these things. No demand and whatever. And now that we see, those are just, the demand is through the roof currently, right? I mean, they're just setting crazy goals for next year. And, in a time of a pandemic, in a time of a crazy time, we're still delivering on a high level. And we're showing profitability. We're doing things that we've talked about doing for a while. And I think a lot of the investors that got started with this stock, within the past year or so, is really starting to appreciate that. And being included in SP 500, I think is just a cherry on top. We missed it a couple months ago. And I think, and that kind of shocked a little bit of us. I honestly thought they were going to get in. They met all the requirements. And I thought they were going to get in, but I figured they get in later on. I didn't think this soon, to be honest with you. It kind of came out of the blue. Unless I missed something.
I was expecting like Q1, Q2 of next year.
Oh yeah, I wasn't thinking anytime around now. I thought it was a little too soon compared to, or not too soon, but like I wasn't expecting to hear it this soon. So, overall, it doesn't really affect a ton for me as far as my bullish thesis. I think it's a great addition. But I think just, again, it brings more awareness to Tesla. You're buying index fund, you're gonna have Tesla in there and SP. I think that's huge. You're just getting the recognition that, Tesla needs. And, overall, I just think it's just about time. I think they deserved it. And, I guess that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely kind of proved to a lot of the haters, and there are a lot of Tesla haters, and there's probably still finding reason. And at the end of the day, I mean, if you're still using like old school metrics and looking at PE ratio and all these kind of stuff, nobody's going to doubt the fact that it's overvalued in terms of traditional terms.
Valuation,
nobody's looking at that. But I think the reason a lot of us are so confident in it is, I think Elon, obviously the team he has behind him, he doesn't always provide everything on time, but everything that he has guaranteed has pretty much happened. And they've just, even with the competition coming out, which seems like it's kind of coming out of the woodwork a lot more and more this fall, it still doesn't really worry me. I mean, you see like the EV Hummer, you see other small EV companies popping up. What they don't understand is that a company like Ford, for example, GM, whoever, any of these big kind of mainstay uh, combustion vehicle companies, the difference is that Tesla is, this is the only thing that they've been doing. They don't have to switch or rewire anything that they have. And the other thing that they talk about is how the most complicated part of Tesla's process is the machines that they've built to produce the cars. You have a plant that's building, ICE vehicles, F-150s,
Yes.
however many a
Yeah.
day. What are you going to do? You're going to go in and swap out all those machines? Like, I don't think people understand the transition that they need to go through to be able to get on the
Yes.
production level that Tesla is slowly kind of creeping towards and slowly building over and over.
That's a great point. That's a great point. It's not an easy transition. They're aware of what's going on and they're going to start adjusting to it. But a lot of competitors, it's not an easy transition to them. They already have all these factories built out to produce these ICE vehicles that we've seen, and one of my biggest things, and we can talk Tesla all day, but one of my biggest reasons for, buying Tesla is they're so ahead of the competition. I'm sure a lot of people are sick of hearing that. And the EV space in general right now is something we can talk about. It's crazy, and I don't really talk about EV stocks on my channel because I'm not looking for an EV stock. I'm not looking for another vehicle maker. Like for me, I bought Tesla. I bought a lot of Tesla. I'm happy with where I'm at. I just think they're so far ahead that for me, I'm not really super worried. Well, sure, there'll be competitors later on. They're not going to just always be the leader, but I think until you drive a Tesla, to be honest with you, again, if you look at it from a valuation metric standpoint, and you just look at the PE ratio, you look at all these things, it may not make sense currently. But if you drive a Tesla and you understand the demand for these cars, you're like, wow, this is way ahead of anything I've ever driven before. And I think when I talk to, a lot of people about investing and getting started, that's honestly the first thing I like to talk about. Okay, you're looking into so-and-so stock. Okay, well, what do they do? What's the total addressable market? What's the opportunity that this company has? And then you kind of go from there. There's a lot of people mess with me. Why don't you sell your Tesla stock? Why don't you, take your gains and leave? And it's like, because this company isn't done.
Yeah.
It's just my opinion. Like, yeah, I'm up a lot. Yeah, the valuation may not make sense right now, but it's because they're valuing the company on what they're doing right now. They're not looking at the next 3 to 5 years where it'll all make sense. If you took a look at the gigafactories on their latest earnings report, like there's so many that just said, being built, in construction or just planning. And there was just like, I don't know, a couple that were just, actually in production mode. I'm like, this just looks like a company that's getting started. They're not at its peak, And I can't imagine selling my Tesla shares before Cybertruck release or before Roadster release or before any of these other products that are coming out into markets that they haven't gone in yet. The pickup truck market is absolutely huge. Semi truck, I don't know what they're going to do there. So for me, it's like I look back and I think of myself in 5 years, being like, wow, I bought Tesla shares 8 years ago and they're still delivering and they're still doing really, really well. I just got to remain long term with this one and realize there's still a ton of opportunity. I would totally sell if I think they're at their peak.
Yeah.
If I'm like, oh yeah, this is crazy run up. It's insane. I'm not saying the stock is justified by everything going on currently, but I still feel like in 3 to 5 years when I'm looking out, it'll be a life-changing stock for me for sure.
Yeah, I think proof of concept is such an important thing. And I look back at companies like Amazon and Google. These are all companies that I'm not invested in because a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I was looking at their stock price and I was like, this is ridiculous. I can't buy at these levels. And then look what happens.
Right.
I think what Tesla IPO'd in 2010, I believe it was.
2010.
Yeah, it's been about 10 years. All these other companies coming out. I mean, Nikola, we can kind of shove to the side, but Fisker, what are some of the other ones?
Hyliion,
Hyliion, Workhorse, and
Workhorse.
they're all kind of in different realms. I know Hyliion's like semis and Fisker's a little bit more of just kind of like compact cars, that kind of stuff. But they have a long road ahead of them. Yeah, Neo. They have a lot. I think Neo's a little bit more of a proven concept, but they have a long road ahead of them. They have a long road ahead of them, a lot of hurdles to get over. And you saw what happened to Tesla. So for me, it's like, and especially at your position, we can maybe talk about, because I know you made a video about, how much your Tesla position has grown, but it's like you sell those shares. What are you going to do with that money? Like where's a better opportunity for you to put it?
That's it, Rich, right there. Is I always was taught, okay, you sell, great. What's the next move? I have a lump sum of cash, fantastic. Cash isn't going to do anything for me right now. I don't need the cash currently. For me, like I said, I'm cash heavy already. So if I'm going to be cash heavy currently, why am I going to sell out of tremendous gains in Tesla when I don't think the stock is overvalued?
Yeah.
The only reason I would sell Tesla in the near future, unless something fundamentally changes, right? There's a chance I sell. But why would I sell Tesla in the near future if I don't need access to capital and I'm confident in the business model? It just doesn't make sense to me personally. And that's why I really distinguish, financials and all that traditional analysis, fundamental analysis, which is very, very important, but also vision and belief and confidence in what the company is doing and the track record that they've already proven, and I obviously you blend the two and then you make a decision. And right now my decision is to continue to hold. I'm not being greedy with it personally. I think I'm just like satisfied with the position. I believe in future growth, and that's kind of where I'm at with that. But yeah, I'm just going to continue to ride it out.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch. I'm sure, you know, there's going to be more volatile times ahead. But if you do have that decade-long outlook, I think I'd be hard pressed to see Tesla again without anything major happening between now and then.
I agree.
Retracing below where it is right now.
I agree.
I think we could see the first multi-trillion-dollar company for sure.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Let's kind of talk about maybe any other disruptive or even just new companies or new stocks that you're particularly interested in. You mentioned ARK Invest. I'm a huge fan of them. I kind of follow them religiously. Anything disruptive that you're seeing in the market that you think could potentially kind of take hold and be a part of the next wave, and companies that you're looking at investing in early?
Sure. We mentioned ARK Health, like we talked about, and I think one of the ones that they're looking at that I've started early research process, not too far into it right now, but it's Teladoc Health. You familiar with that one?
Yeah, they do like client meetings via cloud-based internet, that kind of stuff.
Essentially, it's healthcare, right?
Yeah.
It's therapists, anxiety, relief, it's doctor's appointments, all that stuff via your app or your website, right? Virtual healthcare for me is something I actually never really thought of. I think right now so many people don't want to go wait in waiting rooms, or the wait is too long. And one of the main things the company tries to push is like, don't wait a week to go meet with a doctor. Don't book and wait, 24 hours or whatever. Like, you have 24 hours, you have a 24/7 access to these doctors. You pay, a certain amount of money, and depending on if you have insurance, you make an appointment, right? And that determines how much you pay. I think overall, I'm very, very new in the whole, was it called telemedicine, something like that kind of space. But those are the things, man, that I'm talking about is, okay, I made a video on this a while back that literally got no views because nobody cares about it. But if you can identify trends in the market, and I'm not talking like short-term trends or day trading, whatever. I'm talking about like, just you see a movement going on. This is nothing new, but something I've really thought of. Like, if you can attack something early and see a movement happening, you're going to do very, very well in the market. I always kick myself I'm in school, I'm in college. In March, when I was like told, okay, you're going to be on Zoom for the rest of the semester. Why didn't I look at Zoom stock? Whether it's overvalued now or not is a different conversation, but why didn't I even look at that? My mind should have went, okay, we're adapting to a whole new way of life. I'm going to be online and Zoom. Well, we need Zoom to run class. Why don't I look at the stock? So that's a trend that was going on that wasn't already happening. So now it's like, okay, we're in a time where health crisis is happening, and health is a priority, and getting good healthcare and getting it quick is very, very important. And a company like this that's, been around for quite a bit, and is doing well. They're not profitable right now, I don't believe, but they're taking steps that could become profitable. They're acquiring companies. They're expanding. It's a play that I am interested in. One, because I need a healthcare play in my portfolio. I mean, I still realize it's a little tech, heavy, but I just think it's one of those companies that I'm excited about. I think because they're disrupting, an industry that traditionally this is how you meet with your doctor. This is how you do all this stuff, which I don't think will ultimately replace meeting with doctors. I think it's essential that we, meet up with doctors in person as well. But, the core, hey, I have a question, or, hey, I need a therapist or whatever. Just, like we're talking about right now, I think it's huge. So I think there's a lot of potential with that one. The total addressable market, again, like I always talk about, I think is huge with this company in particular.
Yeah, I think being able to notice those trends is a skill that we
Yes.
could all kind of get better at. Just kind of reflecting on my own life when the pandemic first started hitting off. I had a relative, older relative that was very kind of traditional, and they needed to get something done. And I think one of the younger people in our family kind of mentioned I don't know if it was exactly teledoc, but it was something along those same lines. Did a little Zoom call on the phone, got prescription lined up like the next day. And I was like, even he was like, that was crazy easy. And when it's somebody that's not going to be as prone to turning to technology or turning to kind of ease of use, it should have been like alarm bells going off. Like,
Sure.
this is the perfect time for this as people are trying to avoid contact with other people. Um,
Yes.
it's
I
just, yeah,
100%
it's
agree.
about just keeping the ears open, kind of no matter what's going on, and noticing those things.
I 100% agree. I got the video idea from, I was actually driving around and I just saw so many RVs and mobile homes. I saw like more than I ever seen on a freeway. I was like, what is going on? So I went to a dealership, checked some out because I was personally looking to one too. I was like, man, why don't I just travel? If I can only work from home, I'm on YouTube and I'm
Yeah.
doing everything on my laptop. Why don't I just travel and be safe and, you know, and I went and talked to one of the sales guys, and they just got no inventory left because people are realizing this is a new thing. My company said, don't come back for another year. You're working from home. Well, I don't want to work from home. Well, let me get a mobile home, and that's a trend that I think we would have never saw before. Like, eh, you know, thinking about, these stocks and looking for companies, I personally believe first has to start with just being observant. I
Yep.
think is huge. If you can be observant, you can look at things and start to realize these. And I looked at the stocks after, went into the dealerships, and sure enough, they were doing great year over year. Whether that's a trend that's here to stay, I don't know, but it's a stock that is seeing a big effect from what's going on. So I think trying to identify those trends as quickly as possible, again, for kind of a long-term change, because I firmly believe Teladoc will be a company that's around and still relevant and something that people adapt to even after the pandemic. I don't think it's just a quick trend here to stay. I think some companies are finding that right now, but I think one of those is definitely one that I'm keeping an eye on.
I think there's a few things that have developed from this pandemic that, yes, it makes our life easier now, but whether it's big companies looking at money to be able to save, or people just being more convenient with kind of the new structure that they've found themselves in, I think this has permanently changed everything going forward. I mean, that's obvious, but if a company looks at, am I going to send somebody across the country, pay for a plane ticket, pay for hotel room, pay for per diem, pay for whatever else, whatever other expenses there are to be able to go meet with another person when we hypothetically could do an hour Zoom call. Um, I don't think we'll ever replace true human, like to human interaction, because that's a huge part of business. But for just kind of like routine things back and forth, I think a lot of companies are realizing maybe we can cut costs and, cut costs on paying the lease at the office building, or cut costs on paying for all these trips. We're going to see some big changes that are going to be here to stay, in my opinion.
I think so too. I really think so. I think there's certain things that I felt like were, again, just gonna be a short-term trend that I think are gonna be more of a long-term. Like for me personally, I I would go to the gym all the time. California, you can't go to the gym around here. We're open, we're closed. We're open, we're closed. And I just realized it was so inconsistent for me and my goals. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna figure out how to do it at home. I mean, all the weights were gone. You can't buy weights around here,
Yeah.
at the shops. So, I bought, a program online that's, all weight, no weights, just CrossFit kind of stuff where you're just body weight exercises. And I don't see myself going back to the gym, which I never thought I'd say out loud, but I see myself, eventually building a home gym or just a little
Yeah.
space where I can get all that stuff done. Yeah, I wasn't comfortable going there for, people that I'm around. I don't want it to be exposed. And, it's something that, will we continue to see people go back to the gym afterwards, or how many people have we seen create their home gyms, and realize that people are probably gonna be like me. I don't actually want to go back to a gym. I realize I can get in shape and I can actually do great workouts just by myself here at home. So there's a lot to say. There's a lot to say, or there's a lot that's going to be able to, be staying here. But I think it'll be interesting to see when we get back to somewhat normal. Honestly, I'm curious to see what trends stay and what trends, don't continue.
Yeah, and it's going to affect and we've already talked about a few, but it affects so many things that you don't even think about. I mean,
Oh my gosh, yeah.
you're in California, so maybe you can speak to it a little bit more, but as somebody who owns property inland, and everyone's moving inland, it has like drastically increased property value in the city that I have my property in, because it's a popular one to go to. But have you seen people ditching California? Because it seems
Oh my
like all we
gosh.
hear is people leaving California.
Oh
So maybe
my
we can hear it
gosh.
from somebody who actually lives there.
Oh yeah, it's real. It's real. I came back from Vegas today. I was in Idaho. I came back and I stayed in Vegas and I drove home, a couple hours before this podcast. And just the line of people, going to California, going to Vegas, whether they were going on vacation, I don't know, but just the freeway of between California and Vegas, always very, very popular lately. Me being in Idaho, a lot of people, like, it's getting to the point, man, where like I'm kind of like scared of people seeing my license plate. I'm not even lying. Like when I go to Idaho and when I go to Vegas, because those are the two, if I could really pinpoint two
Oh, I
places where people are
gotcha.
flooding to,
Yeah.
they're going to Idaho and they're going to Vegas. That's realistically where I know a lot of people are going. And I see a lot of people, on social media or whatever, they're going there. Very, 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 very inexpensive compared to California.
Yeah.
I mean, right now in the California home prices is just insane, and you go to company, or you go to a company, you go to a state like Vegas or, Nevada, you go to somewhere like Idaho, you can get much more for your money out there. And not to mention some of the tax benefits you can get in some of those states as well. So it's real. It's a big movement that's going on for a variety of reasons. But it's kind of, made me rethink too.
Yeah.
After I graduate, am I going to stay down here in California, and pay $2,500 for an apartment, or am I going to go buy a house where my mortgage is going to be $1,200 in Vegas or in Idaho?
Yeah.
And I've been kind of testing out the waters. I've been living out there for a little bit and trying to see which one I would like and, where I have more opportunity, but just got my real estate license in California. And now I'm second guessing if I'm going to live here or not. So that's kind of frustrating. But you know what, man, it's happening. And I think people are just fed up. We have a lot of things going on with politics here as well. I don't know if you heard, but politically in California, it's getting crazy on some of the recent calls and curfews that we've gotten.
Yeah.
And
It's got to be hard. It's got to be hard when you're there and you're seeing what other states are doing, right? And it's like,
yes,
the numbers in turn. I don't want to get too political or too conspiracy, but the numbers of cases, it's not like what California is doing is like, oh, come over here. There's no COVID cases because of everything we're doing. It's just, it's crazy to see the vast difference in like California versus Florida or Texas or something like that.
It's insane. And it's just taking a toll on people. And I specifically, I mean, people that are my age that are about to graduating college, looking for work and looking to move out of their parents' house.
Yeah.
Even at 24, 25, whatever. I mean, it's a struggle, man. If you live in California and you're graduating college and you go get a job for $50,000, I mean, that's your rent,
That's crazy.
So it's just, a lot of us grew up here. A lot of us like it here. And a lot of us have a hard time thinking we're going to leave. I never thought I would leave. Regardless of who's in office, to be honest with you. I'm not too political. And I really liked it here. It's a great place to grow up, but I think there might be other opportunities and other places for me to live that I would have never thought of. And it's crazy right now here in California for sure. And Graham made a video on it. I think, me and Kevin made a video on it. They're all, I believe, heading out, unless they just made it for views. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure they're heading out. It's a real movement.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think I might be off on my numbers here, but I think the city of San Francisco, and this is going to sound, I'm sure there's going to be some people that are on the complete opposite side of the spectrum of what I'm about to say, but I think they made a law where, again, my numbers might be a little bit off. If you're selling a home that's in excess of $10 million, so $10 million or more, I think you automatically owe 10% of the sales price to the city, which, again, if you own a $10 million home, you're probably doing all right in life. But the precedent that it's setting, is you sell $10 million and immediately $1 million is going to the city. you're driving people away. You're driving business away. I understand. I don't want to get too political. I'm trying to toe the line here, but
strap it up.
I think you understand kind of what I'm getting at. Feel free to rebuttal on that, but
I 100%.
I'm not feeling bad for the people that are selling the house. I'm just from the aspect of keeping business in Silicon Valley, where it has been this thriving space for so long. People are going to see better opportunities somewhere else to preserve their wealth. Just
Much
as like a standard, like non-political statement.
Much better. And that's all I'll say on that too, without getting political on that. I think I 100% agree. I mean, that's a big driving force to why people are out here, and what California brings. We don't look at the weather ever. I packed very, very not appropriate for the weather that I was traveling into in Idaho, and that's just what we do. We're dumb, man. Us people from California, at least me from Southern California, I don't look at the weather. I just wear t-shirts and the same gym shorts, and that's about all I wear year round. So there's definitely changes that are going to have to be made, but I'm definitely looking for other places, man.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Texas is one of them. That'd be fun. I just can't do humid. So depending on where you're at, I don't know, but
it depends. If you're towards the eastern side, it could be kind of bad. Central, you'll be fine. So just to put it that way.
Good to know.
Yeah. Dude, I want to talk really quickly. It's all over the news and well, maybe not all over the news, all over the financial news. Bitcoin's on a crazy tear right now. Do you have any stake in cryptocurrency at all? Kind of what's your take on crypto and Bitcoin specifically?
I actually just saw that last night with Bitcoin, and I am not an educated guy on cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. And to answer your question, I don't hold any cryptocurrency whatsoever. A guy I worked with back when I was a server, the past 4 or 5 years, we go back and forth constantly, crypto versus equities, crypto versus stock, and, all these different, individual companies. What's better? What do we do? And I saw what's that right now? 13,000, 14,000?
No, it's like Bitcoin? It's pushing 19.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm obviously late to the game.
Yeah, let me check. I mean, it was at 14 probably like 2 weeks ago, so you're not that far off. That's why I'm kind of saying it's
18.3. Okay.
Yeah, it's going crazy.
Yeah, so honestly, I don't invest anything, and the reason I don't is because I just don't fully understand it. And that might be weird to say, but I've never sat down and took the time to understand cryptocurrency and Bitcoin specifically. Now, I'm sure I can do the same thing and, watch countless YouTube videos, get briefly educated on it, and then go do my research and really develop my own opinion. But the guys that understand it and the guys that talk about it a lot, I mean, they know what they're talking about, and they're very, very passionate about the future of cryptocurrency in general. The place that I kind of get confused at is all the different coins and all the, like Ethereum and Litecoin and Dogecoin. I don't know. I mean, I hear these all around, but I don't know. I feel like if this keeps running, we just see a bunch of FOMO like we saw in 2017.
You're probably
right. See a massive bubble, but you know what? Tesla's looking like the same thing, and I don't believe it's going to pop. So I could be very, very wrong, but I think it's crazy. I'm happy for the people in 2017 that are breaking even, though. Yeah, I'll tell you that. I looked at it, I'm like, man, okay. If somebody bought in 2017 and they're long term, I'm happy that they're able to celebrate.
Yeah, those are some strong hands if they were able to hold through.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
It dipped all the way down to like
3,000.
3,000.
So you got, yeah. And I hope nobody sold at the bottom.
I'm sure a lot of people did.
And they bought at the top, but I'll continue to watch it. But I'm not too knowledgeable on it now.
Yeah, check out I don't know if you know Anthony Pompliano. He's kind of my go-to guy for Bitcoin. So
okay.
He's not like a traditional YouTuber. He kind of runs a podcast. But if you just maybe find his videos talking about his bull case for it, he's kind of my educator on that.
Awesome.
Cool, man. Yeah, we'll have to circle back to that when we're either Bitcoin's at 100 grand or at 1 grand in 6 months. So we'll see.
Absolutely.
Anything else kind of going on? We talked a lot about, your coaching, your YouTube channel. Is there anything else kind of going on behind the scenes, business, personal, whatever, just that you think is important to bring up?
I mean, I just think, again, it's for me, it's just being consistent on everything that I implemented. I try not to add too much into my life and juggle too much, but based on when you first reached out to me first doing this podcast and to when we actually started doing it, you can tell that I am pretty crazy right now. You know, I did pick up a full-time gig with Jeremy, spend a lot of time, you know, working with him, which is a dream come true, to be honest with you. Still in school, so I'm balancing that. I also do music as well. I think we talked about this a little bit on the last podcast, but my band just released our album. It's on Spotify and iTunes, and we're doing that all ourselves. We don't have any record label. We don't have any. We're all independent, and you know, that is a bulk of my time. Balance between everything else. It's just a goal that I've set for myself for so long. So non-finance related, you know, I spend a lot of my time doing that on top of, you know, just having a social life in general. So, you know, I've been doing a lot of work with that and, you know, selling merch and setting up the store for everything related to that. And just, I guess, you know, you can call it like the entrepreneurial side of me where it's like just building something and following through. And I think, you know, that's just what it is, man. I'm at the very, very early stages of building. You know, I don't want to say building my empire like everybody says, but, you know, building a foundation of just, this is a time in my life where I can experiment and travel and really start to figure out what I love to do, what I not like to do, try to make smart decisions with money and just put myself in a position to have options, you know, whether the band makes it, you know, I hope it does. I continue to love doing it. And, you know, if it doesn't, it doesn't. You know, if my YouTube channel, if I don't want to do it one day, it doesn't. And I pursue music or I pursue Jeremy's thing or I do real estate. Like, there's so many different opportunities that I have that I'm just working on creating for myself. I think that's just basically to answer your question is just, I'm just continuously trying to find the next opportunity that makes sense for me and that makes me the happiest. It's not all chasing money, which I think is something that with finance channels and people on YouTube, we try to push for the most money possible and, you know, all that stuff. And it's like, you know, gotta do it because you love it. So that's mainly what I've been working on.
It's important to keep those doors open while also having the self-awareness to realize, like, if you're making videos and you just dread it, you know, it might be time to just either pivot or just throw in the towel and don't feel like you're giving up on something just because it depends on, you know, we talked before about being consistency and all that kind of stuff, but you know, there comes a time where you might need to just look in the mirror and be like, you know, whether it's YouTube or something else, maybe it's time to stop and put that energy and focus somewhere where you can actually enjoy it.
Yep. Yeah. Before I say if I want to continue doing something or if I'm, you know, if it's not worth my time or whatever, you brought up a great point. Do I pivot? Do I change what I'm doing? Do I change up my strategy before I just up and quit it? You know, because realistically, not everything's going to work out the way you thought. I thought I was going to go with no course finance the entire time. I pivoted and said, I'm going to rebrand. I'm not just going to quit this. I'm going to rebrand and go from there. You know, same thing with music. Like we thought we were going to sell CDs this way and we realistically sold it this way. We didn't quit. We changed, we adjusted, we adapted, right? So I think that's what it is. I know a lot of people focus on, you know, find one thing that you love and attack it. And I really, really believe in that. I just think right now at my age, in my position where I'm at, I want to try a bunch of different things and see which one I really connect with and which one takes off and then attack it from there. Because I thoroughly love everything I'm doing. I mean, I haven't been happier, you know, juggling all these things is great, but you know, actually creating content and then, you know, just being creative, I think is really healthy for me.
Yeah.
Which
awesome,
school doesn't allow me to be. So
we're not going to talk about that again.
We're not. I refuse. That's episode 3.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get back to that. All right. New thing that I've started with the different guests. I'm asking them all the same questions. So if you had 24/7 access to one business mentor, who would it be?
Gary V.
Gary
V for me, which I originally did not like. I did not like Gary V originally. I don't know. I felt like I had to say that, but now I absolutely love his mindset and everything. So I'm sure, you know, a lot of listeners are probably familiar with Gary V on a basic level, but he's much more than business. He's mindset, he's happiness, he's attitude, he's work ethic. He's encompasses all of that in one. And I think he really, you know, gave me the mindset that I needed while doing what I'm doing, because again, it's not about me doing a ton of different things and saying, look at my band, look at my real estate, look, it's not about that whatsoever. I tell very, very little friends that I have a YouTube channel. There's about probably 10 that know about it. And it's all, you know, I don't want to sound selfish, but it's all for myself, in that I'm proving to myself that I can do something, I can build something, I can do all that. And Gary Vee's a big guy that says, do it because you want to do it because it makes you happy, work for yourself because that's what you want to do. It requires a ton of work, which YouTube does, right? But just keep your options open and just, you know, I don't know. He always stresses just, you know, just be a nice person. It's not hard to be nice. And I think a lot of people need to hear that, you know, in today's world. Like, you know, if we disagreed, you know, on Tesla stock or Virgin Galactic or politically, you know, okay, I respect your views. I respect your perspectives. Thanks for the different perspective. Let's move on. You know, and I just think he's brought a sense of calm to me and stressing out about, I need 1,000 subscribers now. I need 100,000 subscribers and I need to make 5,000 a month on YouTube now. I enjoy the process so much more. I think if I could sum it up there, you know, I enjoy the process of building my band and building YouTube and building all these things, realizing I don't have to be successful in quotes right now. If I am waking up on Monday and I'm stoked and I'm ready to get after it, and I'm ready to work with Jeremy, I'm ready to build my brand and my band and all the things I want to do, I'm winning in life, you know? And I think a lot of people think they have to have this monetary status that they're winning. And for me, I am stoked to tell you that I'm loving building my 3,000 subscriber channel, you know, and I'm loving selling 2 CDs to people that listen to music and metal, you know, like I love it. And that's what I had a vision of. So I think Gary Vee, we would have a great conversation.
Yeah, it's super important. I'm a fan as well. I kind of go through waves of if I get unmotivated, I find myself watching more of his videos to get remotivated. And then I realized I was like, okay, I don't have to agree with everything this guy says, and that made me like him a little bit more, because some of the stuff is like, all right, dude, that's kind of ridiculous. But like, if we're just being honest.
Yep, 100%. And that's why I kind of turned away from it. I was like, this was like 2-3 years ago. But if you just, and you're right, you don't have to agree with everything everybody says. I've taken bits and pieces from a bunch of different people. And, you know, it's made me better overall. And I think that's just the whole point of everything, you know, just get better, take what you want and leave what you don't.
For sure. Another great chat, man. We'll do it again sometime soon. Thanks again for coming on. Go ahead and shout out where people can find you and any closing thoughts you have.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much for having me on. I mean, let's do it again. What was it? We did 5 months ago. Definitely get on a little bit sooner, and hopefully the schedule clears up and we can see where BTC's at and where Tesla's at and compare the two. But yeah, you guys can find me on Trevor Hassel Investing, Personal Finance. That's YouTube channel that's just getting going here at the moment, and talk things all personal finance. I talk things all investing, share with you guys what I've learned and, you know, some of the things I see out there that I realistically, guys, it's just, you know, I don't think it's talked about enough. Now it's starting to get talked about enough on YouTube, but hopefully you'll like my perspective on things and get some value out of it. And then also, if you're into metal, which is completely opposite of what we're talking about here, if you need to workout music or you're just, you like that kind of music, A Suffocating Lie is my band, and you can find us on Apple Music, and, you know, you can find us on Spotify, Deezer, Amazon. We're everywhere. So we have a website, all that good stuff. So that's where you can find me, and that's where I spend the bulk of my time. Yeah, appreciate everybody listening, man. I know there's a lot of things people could be doing, you know, and spending an hour listening to. So very, very grateful you guys took the time to watch, and also for Rich for having me on, man. Really means a lot.
Thanks again, brother. Have a good night.
Cool. You too, dude.
See ya.